You're listening to Mike Adams and Chris Savory, the record collectors from the BBC between now and 9 tonight.
Welcome to the programme, Emile.
Hello there.
We're at the moment in sort of central Wales, where you're doing a sort of a concert tour. Can we go back to your very early induction into popular music? I, of course, remember What Do You Want to Make Those Eyes at Me For, and Slow Boat to China, and one or two others. You were studying sort of sound at university in Nassau, is that right, in the West Indies? Mm-hmm. And then you came over to Britain to undertake study at Oxford. Mm-hmm. And then what happened from there?
Well, that step was to go ahead and develop the system and then prove that it does work. Then, of course, it allowed me to produce my first record, which became a hit.
That must have changed your whole life, really, from being academic to being a pop star, so touring around with sort of the acts of that period.
No, it didn't, because it only did allow me to carry out my research work more thoroughly. So it didn't change my life at all. I'm still an academic.
Let's just look at that period, because it was a very exciting period musically, because it was where Britain, in a way, decided that no longer it needed its parent as far as pop music was concerned in America, where we were having stars this side of the Atlantic that were making hit records that would then go on, ultimately, through the Beatles and the rest of its history, sell records throughout the world. Have you any memories of those halcyon days of Anthony Newley and Adam Faith and Cliff Richard and the tours you were on? Any tales you can share with us, Emile?
Well, not really, because, like I said, I was strictly academic. I used those tours as part of my research work. You see, so I was more or less practicing with the sound on the public, and the public loved the sound. And that was all I was interested in. I finished the shows, I went home to bed, that's it. Next day, first thing in the morning, rehearsals, again, checking the sound over, checking through all the frequencies. And that was it, that was my life. I've gone through about 4 frequencies a day over the last 30 years, because of millions of frequencies in sound. And to get the actual control over sound, which I have today, because I've got the patents both in England and America, I've achieved it.
Is there any difference between what a child hears and what an adult hears, or what a man hears or what a woman hears?
Big difference. Women and children have a higher sensitivity hearing than men.
What I'd like to talk about is where you did your recordings. Early album, your first album with Pi, I'm trying to remember the title of it, More Tracks with Emile also. Members of the Checkmates were, and a little bit about their history.
With their history, George was my brother. He played bass. Ken Street played guitar. John Cuffley, drums. But basically, I brought them in and told them what to do to create my own sound. And that's it. I think the only song they are really interested in is What Do You Want to Make Those Eyes at Me For.
There was a version, what was it, Sophie Tucker springs to mind, that she did that track a long time ago.
Mary Adams. Mary Adams
as well, yeah.
Johnny Otis.
And Johnny Otis, of course.
That was their follow-up to Marcia's Making Eyes at Me, which was number 1 for them in 58.
That's right, and that was issued in this country on a Friday. EMI Group distributed that record, and that's now worth about £15 in mint condition.
And the second one I fully produced was Counting Teardrops, White Christmas, which was my second biggest hit. And the other one on Piccadilly label, which was when the embarrassment of the company realizing that I could produce hits and I didn't want to work with them, they formed the Piccadilly label as a subsidiary to put me on to produce my own stuff. And I did one song for Southern Music, a song called Half of My Heart, just to prove to them that I can take any old song or any new song, brand new song, straight out and make a hit out of it. And I proved that point, and then suddenly they realized my potential. And then I decided, okay, I'll knock it on the head, and I went to Sweden.
Now, have you, you've obviously been producing from right from the early 60s onwards. Have you rubbed shoulders with any other of we call the legendary producers, like Joe Meeks and Spector and George Martin come to mind? Perhaps we'll try and talk in the right sequence. I suppose Joe Meek and Phil Spector were very early. Spector was working at Atlantic Records in New York, and Spector and whereas in this country Joe Meek was working for anybody would actually take it. Yes, he started off on his own really, and he sold the tape.
And he was working as an engineer for Lansdowne. That's where I met him.
He has got a reputation amongst collectors as being somebody who took a lot of chances.
Well, I took chances, but I mean, mine were calculated chances, but he took chances which cost him a lot of money, and he just didn't have the courage to to face it out.
Had you recorded any records prior to before we got to know you with Eyes? I mean, was there anything prior to that recording?
Yes, but not released, because I was using the Chelsea Film Studios recording studio to practice. So I had a whole year of apprenticeship in a recording studio, so this is why I knew how to produce records. And all my demos and rehearsals were recorded. I recorded it there. And when it came to making the record, the hit song, I had to go and win my one-song contract, you see. Otherwise, every company had already turned me down. They didn't want to know because they couldn't do anything with my voice. So I entered the Shrosphire competition to win the one-song contract. And once I got it, the company that offered it, EMI, Norman Newell, they had already turned me down, so I didn't accept it from them. I made them give it to somebody who came second, and I chose the company to go with, which was Pi, to do the song. And even then, they were ready to dictate what they wanted me to do, so we compromised. They did the A side, Don't Tell Me Your Troubles, and I did the B side.
And of course, I mean, a lot of people actually prefer Don't Tell Me Your Troubles to the A side. I mean, I know myself when I bought that record, that Don't Tell Me Your Troubles I thought was a stronger side, in my opinion. I still got the original record, and incidentally, I still happen to have, by fair means of foul, part of a silk red shirt, which I remember the incident at the Floral Hall where a handful of us bungled you out of the back of the Floral Hall, where at the sheer mayhem that's on Merseyside, sampled on Merseyside, which is one of your homes now, because you live both here and the United States, where in fact things just got totally out of hand, and you came within an inch of. It seemed pretty close to me at the time, but I do remember it.
I came within an inch of losing my trousers. Yeah. I lost the shirt.
you are quite a person. It strikes me that you also like being the man being behind things and seeing things work for other people. Any that you care to name that you've been involved with their recording?
Well, I don't care to name it simply because once I did that and it became obvious that they were potential, other companies or other management made them offers that I couldn't back up, you see, myself. They made them bigger promises which they fell and grabbed, and to their regret, too late.
Finally, Emile, can we just have for the records, for absolute records, the list of recordings which were both hit recordings that you made, both in this country and overseas, because you've got a lot of very loyal fans.
That's all, folks.